this afternoon's work session on the 5 stand at the Two Rivers Gun Range. I'll turn it over to y'all. Turn it over to Joey.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. God, could you get this? Good evening, Commissioners, again. Tonight, myself, along with Ricky Miller, our gun range master, will do a short presentation on our 5-stand shotgun range. We'll begin with what is a 5-stand and then go on to benefits, the grant funding for this 5-stand, and then any questions or discussions you would like to have therefore. Now, a 5-stand is a clay pigeon sport played at 5 different stations, which offers a variety of angles and speeds to shoot at from 8 trap machines. If you'll notice at the bottom of this illustration, there are 5 different stands for 5 different shooters. Out in the field of this stand, you'll see there's 8 different traps to shoot from at different angles, which a variety of elevations as well as a rabbit shot which bounces across the ground. Now, this is an example of what your typical 5-stand pavilion would look like. Again, you can see the 5 different shooting stations. With the one in the middle, you can actually see someone holding a shotgun shooting from. Above this 5-stand is another trap machine shooting above the shooter so they can shoot out. Now, after visiting a couple of different 5-stands, myself and Ricky, and discussing with different range masters, it was suggested that we build a 2-level 5-stand, which gives you an opportunity to shoot at different elevations from the bottom as well as the top. And it was also suggested if we want to bring in a big tournaments, that these tournaments do like 2-level stands. Now, this is an overview shot of the gun range. You'll see on the left, which is your pistol range, and to the right of the 5-stand is your rifle range. And it's stated in the middle of the 5-stand will be located. Now, if you'll notice the outline of the white around the 5-stand, I'm going to let Ricky explain to you the netting that will be involved with this 5.
So the netting is a ballistic fabric that's made to catch the pattern shots. The specific amount is up to 700,000 pattern impacts. So the net lasts for quite a while. And basically what it's designed to do, if you notice in the top of that picture, in the top right corner, and then next to the Two Rivers Gun Range sign, those are wetlands back there. And whenever you have wetlands, they need those. If you require steel shot, which is more expensive, you don't have to have a net. But if you're allowing for lead and steel, then you need the net to stop it from going into the wetland areas. And then just some basic numbers on it. If you go with 700,000 pattern shots, it's about 280 million pellets, which equals close to 25 tons of lead. And if you recover that, you actually recoup your cost for the net. That's what ends up happening. That's how it's being explained by the people that actually make the net. So, is there any questions on how that works, or if? I mean, that's basically it, right?
So what we'll go over now is you can see this as an overview shot, just giving you an idea when you drive into the gun range, how you'll come up on your pistol range on the left-hand side. And again, in the middle, we'll be locating the 5-stand in that proximity there. And on the very end would be your rifle location. Now, some of the benefits of a 5-stand, economic-wise, will be bringing in some leagues and events to generate repetitive use, which also will drive up your ammo sales as well as your concession sales. Now, as far as community, we can have youth programs and spaces for training, have corporate and charity shoots, bringing in, involving the community more so. Now, operational, this 5-stand is all-weather, year-round scheduling, as well as a fast rotation. Now, when I mean fast rotation, each time you do a shot, it's a 25 rounds. So I want you to try to think of a batting cage in this instance. When someone goes to a batting cage, they'll put their money in, they'll get somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 balls. And after those swings that they have, they want more. And this is the same idea that we have with the five stand. They want more and more and more because it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and that's what we mean by fast rotation. Now, as far as funding goes, this grant amount, which was approved from you all last year, last November, is $434,400. The match on this is $43,440. The completion date on this grant is August the 31st, 2027, which it may seem a long way away, but there's a lot of RFPs that we need to put out on this, as well as a lot of construction that goes along. So this deadline will approach very quickly on this. In terms of anything else, we're here for any questions or any discussions that you might like to have.
Anybody got any questions?
So when you say it's like the baseball machine, is that is it going to be a machine, or is it going to have to be an individual actually pulling the skeets at our five stand?
I'll let Ricky talk about that.
Actually, it's you can do it both ways. You can do it with a program launcher, program that runs the whole course, and then you could also do it with an RSO that would sit there and actually launch each one.
Okay. As with our current staffing with RSOs, would we be able to accommodate that, or would we have to hire more staff?
Well, with the amount of staff that we have right now, I think that I believe that we'd be able to handle it the way that it is. It'd just be I would have to take a look at scheduling and things like that. But yeah, I believe that we'd be able to cover it the way we are now.
I want to leave room for someone else to ask a question because I do have more. Okay. So I imagine someone's like, looking for a skeet to shoot, right, and pulling the trigger. How is that safer than what we currently have set up, where shrapnel is currently hitting people? I mean, because I imagine, it's a little bit erratic. People are aiming for something that's moving through the sky.
Can you go back to the picture with the five stand? So if you notice, like Mr. Yakubaki said about the guy that sits in the middle there, there's five up there. There's five different stands where the columns are, the small distance in between. They step up in between there, and that's what the poles end up being their right and left limits.
Okay, yeah, grabs the muzzle before it goes all the way over? Okay.
Well, it wouldn't grab the muzzle.
Well,
They
stop
would
it.
bump into it. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Let's see, I think I had another question. Long-term maintenance costs. So I see how much it's going to cost. Is that the total cost to build, the 400-something thousand plus our 43,000 grant match?
That's how much the grant is, yes. We would anticipate coming in a little bit below that, but until we send out the RFPs and get the quotes at all, we would anticipate the whole amount, yes.
Do we have an estimated amount on what it might cost to maintain long-term?
Yeah, long-term, the first couple of years, is in terms of maintenance, we're not looking at that much maintenance with the machines. They'll be brand new. Also, we're looking at buying maybe 9 or 10 machines, so if one goes down, we'll be able to replace it real quick.
The skeet shooter?
Absolutely. I'm sorry about that. Yes, the clay target machines. So you're not really looking at a lot of maintenance for the first 2 or 3 years, but long-term, obviously, you would look at some maintenance on the building. But there's not much overhead in this at all.
Well, and this might not be a question y'all can answer, but I am going to ask it. Last year for our 2024 financial report, we were at a negative $110,299. Last time we got an update on the position, we had like a $76 positive position, but then something else came in and we were negative again. Do we have the $43,000 to grant match? Like I said, I didn't know if that was a question for you or a question for Ms. Nancy, but,
That may be a question for Ms. Nancy.
okay.
We set aside money every year for grant match.
Now, this grant is for cash or in kind, so it's either way.
Oh, so we could,
Yes, we could
Provide
use.
labor and-
Absolutely,
okay.
yes.
So the match would have to be,
Doesn't have
part
to be
of our whole
monetary.
budget process to see where we would get that money from. I mean, it would be limited, obviously, maybe the general fund. We wouldn't use SPLOST for it. So it would have to be part of the whole budget process. But
like next
as
budgeting,
Joey,
like next budgeting cycle, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think that it wouldn't be ready to move forward before June 30th.
Yeah, we would try to use most of it in kind as much as possible, for sure. Well, we would be limited with our funds. We would definitely try to do the in-kind match.
Okay, thank you both.
Okay, you're welcome.
But there again, every year, we set aside money just for grant matching. Martin, you got something?
Yeah, I've got several questions here. Based on the DNR requirements, basically what I've been told is we can never make a profit off of this gun range. Am I correct? Can you explain that, Joey, or,
Doing a good job of that.
huh?
We're doing a good job of that.
We're successful, I guess.
Yeah, so it's not so much making a profit, it's that any funds that are received or, maintained at that property has to be reinvested into the gun range itself.
Right. They have to go right back into it.
Correct.
Okay. The other question I've got several. I got 13 questions here.
Should have let you go first.
You should have. Well, basically, because we've been dealing with this for quite some time. As a matter of fact, we got a new adventure going on now. Were there sound tests done before we actually got into this adventure?
So the
With it.
DNR, part of their environmental assessment, they were the ones that performed all of that, and of course, they submit that up to U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So they were the ones that were actually handling all of that. That was actually done, I think, back in 2017. It was, I think, middle of 17, somewhere around there.
So they did the sound test and presented it? And
DNR submitted all the environmental they were the ones that actually performed the environmental assessment on the property, and then they submit all of that to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, who then approves.
Okay, then, all right, the next thing is I have been trying to figure this thing out for 3 years. I've sat on Ricky's porch and talked to him for hours at a time trying to figure out how to solve these sound issues. So I need to ask these questions. I want to anyway. Can we go higher with the berms out there at all? Is that possible?
You would be spending hundreds, if not millions of dollars trying to do that.
Okay, but would it help?
I don't know. The only way to know that is you'd have to hire an expert sound study to do that.
Which would cost, any idea?
75,000+.
Okay,
Can I ask a question right on the back of that one?
sure.
Where did the dirt come from that we built the berms with currently?
So there's 2 pits on site.
Like
So-
borrow pits?
Right. There's a 1 acre pit. I don't know if you can go back over to that overview. So you can kind of see the northeast corner of this. There's like a 1 acre borrow pit there. And then the larger one is a 4 acre borrow pit. So the 1 acre borrow pit was used to build the pistol range berm. And then the 4 acre pit was used to build the rifle range berm. Pistol range berm, the back berm's about 24 feet tall, which is about 9 feet taller than what NRA requirements are for a back berm. And then the side berms are 15 feet tall. NRA minimums are 8 feet for side berms. So
Okay, my next question is, why did we pick this spot? Who did this? Was it the county? Was it someone gave us the property, or did DNR have anything to do with picking this particular location?
So some of this happened prior to me getting here, but my understanding of it is that this site had been used as a sheriff's office, range for many, many years. I think even back to the late 90s. And then this site was kind of, you got to remember there was an agreement made by the sheriff and the commissioners, I think back in 17, to work with DNR to build this public facility, which is also when the intergovernmental agreement was signed with DNR to build the public facility. So when all of that transpired, they worked, I'm saying the sheriff's office at first was working with DNR to lay out the site overview and like the site plans and all that. So DNR would have had to approve the site plans, and then of course they forward that up to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
You know what year that was?
It would have been 17, probably around 17, 18. There was a slight modification made to the plan, so the original set of plans showed the pistol range where it is, and then the rifle range, rather than just having one 200-yard distance, there was like a kick out at the 100. So you would basically have like a 12, lane going out to 100. 50 and 100, and then you'd have a 12-lane going all the way out to 200. So all of that was before we learned about the digital system. That was all speculation about just running straight paper targets at that time. But because the county didn't have the money to build that additional, 100-yard section, we cut that out. Because if we would have built that, we probably would have added another $500,000 or more in cost just to
Okay.
build the berms.
Okay, now, I talked with my wife about this. Sometimes I think common sense can help personally, and then you tell me if I'm wrong. Can we now do another sound test on this? And will the skeet range, will it make more noise? Will it add to the noise that we have now? And can we plant fast-growing shrubbery? For instance, my wife says oleanders. Plant some oleanders because they'll grow real fast. And will that help at all to knock down this noise? I rode out there over the weekend and I looked at all the woods and I looked around there and I tried to just think, what could you do to knock down this noise? And she came up with that idea, either sea myrtles or oleanders. Is that even possible to do that? And would it do anything?
So it's definitely possible to hire the sound study, and I had actually brought that to the board around May, maybe have been like April or May of last year, but again, that cost was $70,000+ at that time, I'm
And
sure.
it depends on which way the wind's blowing.
Well, it depends on a lot of factors. It's not just wind. I mean, there's, obstacles, there's berms, there's the forestry, there's a number of things, humidity levels, there's all kinds of things that go into that. So, I can't sit here and speculate what kind of plants would be the best. I mean, ultimately, the sound study would be the one that would dictate that.
And that's 75,000.
I mean, it was over 70,000 last year. I would assume it's probably 75 plus now.
Okay. All right, I got two more, actually. How much would it actually cost us to add sound barriers? You and I have talked about this several times.
Yeah, so I mean, depending upon where you want to put them, I mean, we spent 115,000 on the pistol range canopy alone.
Right?
That was last year. So depending upon how much square footage of paneling you wanted to put and where you wanted to put it, it would just, it's hard to speculate. I mean, it'd be six figures, of course, but.
Well, I know that sound everywhere. I live on Laurel Island, and they've got sound barriers there between the Laurel Island and my neighborhood, so.
But I think, again, to speculate where you should put it, I think the only way to really determine that is to do a sound study. A sound study is going to tell you everything that you need to know. It'll tell you about, where the sound is actually going and where you actually need to trap it.
So that is one possible thing we can do.
Yes, sir.
However, we don't, we didn't raise the taxes or anything, so we really don't have excess funds to do that. Am I correct? Ben?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, got it. I knew you were going to say that. That's the reason I asked you that question. All right. So my other question is, what can we do to think out of the box on this issue to help try to solve it? I don't know. I'm not a gun person. I don't go to the gun range. I've never shot a gun out there. I've heard it because I've been out there, but I don't have an answer for this. So what I'm asking all five commissioners, we got a problem in front of us. We either solve the problem or we create more problems,
This looks like we'd be creating more noise.
Well, that's what I asked. That's why I asked that question.
I do not believe that.
More guns doesn't equal more noise?
They said it's a different sound.
Shotguns
You need to
is a
answer
different sound.
Okay.
that. Yeah. From what I'm understanding is the actual sound that's coming out of there is coming from the pistol range. Am I correct? Is that true?
I've been out to Ricky's property. We're all talking about Mr. Manning. I've been out to Ricky's property as well, and I heard my assumption, because I started at the range.
Gentlemen,
Yes, ma'am?
I'm going to interrupt for a moment. There's been active litigation filed in this, so my strong advice and recommendation is that any discussions concerning specific pieces of property and sound that has gone on not be discussed now.
That's fair,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
What about
my
any?
train of thought.
All right, so one more question then, just for public knowledge, the safety issue. this weekend that we had one issue that happened out there. Can someone address that?
We had 2 issues.
It was one this weekend though, right? Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Can you guys address that?
Yes, it was on the pistol range, and the individual was struck on the right side of his abdomen, about midway up, with the ricochet, and he had about a 1/4 inch long by about a 1/8 of an inch wide cut that he had received.
Was that the young boy or was that the other individual?
None of them were young boys.
Oh, so,
That individual that was hit was a father, had his daughter there with him shooting. And he happened to get hit with a piece of shrapnel. The other incident was last Tuesday, and that was where an adult male individual was struck in the upper left arm bicep, where he received a substantial cut that I ended up having to render first aid to. Most of the stuff, how this has happened so far is slight first aid, like Band-Aid, cleaning it off and stuff like that. The serious incident was with the individual that got hit in the upper left arm.
But when I spoke to Joey, we are doing everything, according to what our rules for the range are. Like, we're not doing any, nothing was lax and missed that caused that to happen. It just happened from the natural,
Freak accident.
yeah,
And-
being a gun range, right?
Well,
And I think you took action to alleviate that, right?
yeah,
Ben took action?
we stopped using the metal targets
Yeah.
for now until we can do some more research and figure out how to alleviate that. But with any sport, there's risk. There's people getting hurt playing football. There's people going to get hurt shooting guns. There's a risk in everything.
Mini golf even, yeah.
If I could, the metal targets that we have out there, we did break them down the other day and take them off the pistol range. And we currently have paper targets up, which restricts the shooting for the customers substantially. The metal targets that we did have out there, all of the positions are well past the 10-yard recommendation. We have never had a steel plate target inside of 12 yards, and the minimum recommendation is 10 yards. And the angles of the actual plates are checked at,
They're angled down pretty far.
yes, 15 to 20 degrees causes the rounds to get deflected into the ground into a safer area. But none of those targets were inside of 12 yards, and the minimum recommendation is 10 yards. So you're talking an extra 6 feet past that. And I had even taken upon myself to move the targets back even further than what they were. And I don't want to call it a freak accident, but accidents happen. We have accidents happen on the road every day, and things like that. But I haven't seen something like that in all the years that I've been teaching firearms and running ranges and stuff since 2008 all the way up to 2023. I've not seen that happen. So.
I got one more and I'm done if you're okay with it. The one question I've always asked is everyone knows I'm 100% for private industry, 100%. Because the multiplier effect takes place, the county gets money off of it, you're not laying there dormant, When the county runs a business, then we lose all our tax revenue and other money in that area. However, I've asked this question, I've asked it over and over and over again because I just keep wanting to hear the same thing. Sean, can you tell us why we cannot sell this gun range?
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons is you entered into the board entered into a 20-year agreement with DNR to house and maintain a public shooting range facility to the public. So if for whatever reason the board ever did decide that you either no longer wanted it, or you chose to sell it, or anything like that, or shut it down, anything of that nature, then One, you would have to notify DNR, and I think you would also have to, one, probably get their permission, especially depending upon if you're even trying to sell the property, because they have a stake in that as well, because they gave the county all the money to be able to build it. So they're gonna have to be put on notice, as well as U.S. Fish and Wildlife. On top of that, there's probably well over $1 million that'll have to be paid back to DNR, ultimately U.S. Fish and Wildlife, which I think will have a major impact in the county's ability to achieve future grants. And then, on top of that, you would then have to do remediation of the property. You can't leave the property in that state.
All that lead,
So then
right?
you would have to do remediation of the property, which will also cost around 6 figures. Well over 100,000. I don't know the exact cost, but I know other ranges in the state of Georgia have been over $100,000.
Thank you.
This may be a question more among the board, but if we have concerns about noise out there and long-term maintenance and people getting injured, rather than taking the $400,000 being offered to us and matching it with 50,000 in grant match funds, maybe we could use that 50,000 in grant match funds to get grants for some of our parks instead. You know, we have facilities out there. We've got a great pistol range, an awesome rifle range. But our parks definitely need some attention, so this might not be the best use of our grant match funds either.
I will state that the monies have already been allocated for the county. They've already been federally allocated to the county. So if you do send the money back, even the match, you're forfeiting the grant.
But if we're not gonna build it, we don't need the grant, right?
That's my point. You're going to forfeit the grant. The grant's already been approved from U.S. Fish and Wildlife. The money's already been allocated to us. We have not received the money yet because it's a reimbursable deal. Like, we spend the money, then we submit invoices to them, and then they reimburse us. But what I'm saying is that the money has already been federally allocated, which means that it's set aside for this purpose. And if y'all chose not to do this, then you would have to forfeit the grant.
But if we chose not to do it, we don't need the grant, right?
You're forfeiting the grant at that point.
Okay.
You're giving the money back.
Well, we haven't even gotten the money yet.
This is
Been
a,
approved for the grant, which means you've got the money. You've got the ability to spend that money. on
but
the
this
project.
is a 20-year agreement, right? So for
We're
20
already in a
years, we're-
20-year agreement.
Huh?
We've already entered in a 20-year
That's what I'm
agreement.
saying. We're there now.
Yes.
So we really have got to, I think, we still got to put our heads together and work on a way to make this work. That's all I'm asking. If we do that, then maybe we can do it. I like the practical side better than spending $75,000. As far as that goes.
Well, as far as the noise level, shooting shotguns out there is not going to increase the noise level,
Right.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
As far as shrapnel coming from a shotgun, that's
Not gonna happen.
not going to happen. You know,
Okay.
so I'm all for it.
I just, how are you, what opinion are you basing that off of, saying more guns isn't gonna create more noise? Like, how are you coming to that conclusion?
Which one?
Adding more guns, I mean, how do we come to the conclusion that's not gonna create more noise?
Experience.
Oh,
There's a difference between shooting a high-velocity rifle and a shotgun as far as how far the noise travels.
in my experience, let's say you have one person in the room talking, and then 5 more people come in and they're talking, and then 7 more people come in and they're talking. Now you have a full room of people talking. It gets pretty loud in here.
Depends on
whether
they're rifles or shotguns.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, bass or baritone, I mean.
Gentlemen, I'm going to remind you again, we
Okay.
have pending litigation, and we're not going to discuss the noise issues.
Well, we're talking about adding a 5-stand, you know, a new shooting lane for 5-stand, double tier, depending on how we decide to build it. It's a lot more guns out of there. And I understand your opinion, but it's going to create more noise, in my opinion. So, I mean, I feel like it's part of the discussion we're having.
So we can discuss the potential for future impact. Any current issue, we're not going to discuss right now.
Okay, well, that would be a future impact. right?
Future impact, we can discuss.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it would, I believe it would create more noise. I don't know if we're ready to take that on yet.
All right, anybody got anything else? Nothing? All right, thank y'all. We'll close this work session.